I have a whole stack of animes in my watch list. I remember saying, oh, I'll get to it, but I never do. You never do. So the list piles on. But this is kind of an anime channel, and the fact that I like anime still stands. So I opened up the list and watched the one that's been sitting at the top for the longest time ever. Much Comes In Like a Lion is an old manga that's somehow still ongoing 18 years later. The manga won a couple awards, and the anime came out after nearly a decade. This poster is fucking bait. I'm seeing smiles and a boy, so I'm feeling slice of life, you know, maybe some romance. Nope. Nope. If you were expecting any of that, you would be proven wrong the very first episode. The first 10 minutes go by without a single word being uttered. But you kinda see what's going on. A boy lifelessly throwing down in a game of chess. Does he not want to be there? Is he not enjoying it? It looked like he did. What's going on? Who is this old man? The first half felt curious, and something about it was quietly sad. And then... Momo! The soundtrack switches up. Look at the vertical! This girl's jerking the air. Momo fucking hit dives into pudding. The cats are speaking. The boy finally smiled. Wait, what? The scene cuts to the news about a boy killing his own father. So that's who this old man was. We finally get a peek of what's going on in the boy's head, and it's just anger and contempt. This girl notices. She thinks he's cold, so she dashes. And we're back at the dinner table, and everything's just cozy. The next day, the girl walks in with 2 bowls of rice. She stops. The table fucking backflips, and she downs her breakfast. And then there's lunch and a wiener. He grabs the wiener. Holy shit, how is she doing that? This is the average episode of the anime. It's a mix of sadness and chaos without pause. When you think it's a happy episode, the next moment you're plunged into darkness. Authors often build their stories around this familiar structure. It starts out happy, then there's the sad, and it ends happily ever after. That's also how most animes were structured in a season. This anime is not most animes. They're not gonna hold your hand through. One moment you're smiling, and the next your heart weighs heavy, and the cycle repeats. You don't even know which part of the story you're at. So you start having this premonition that every happy scene is bound to be followed by a sad one. Rei Kiriyama is a high school student and a professional shogi player. What's shogi? It's chess. I'm oversimplifying it. I don't really care much about the shogi stuff. My mind just wanders off whenever they geek out about it. Hold up, what the fuck? The only people that care about shogi are old people and even older people. It's a game where a professional match could last up to 12 hours. That's half a day spent staring at a board. I can't imagine someone being hyped over chess. What would the highlights be like? Surely it's not, oh my god, knight to h3 in just 2 minutes! Not everyone's a grandmaster, and not everyone thinks chess is the NBA finals. So what else can an anime do besides animating? It may seem like nothing's happening, but in a chess player's mind, everything is. Waves of thoughts flood their opponent's minds, like water let loose from a dam. Suddenly he's drowning. They make songs about shogi. They use cats as shogi pieces. They try their best to sell it, but I'm wandering off, so here's Momo. I wish I could just call it a shogi anime, but there's more to it than that. In fact, it's not even about shogi. It's about the person who plays it. Everyone has their reasons, and when you learn about them, it's heartwarming, sad, sometimes burdensome. Rei's an archetype you've seen a bunch of times. Nerd with glasses, doesn't have any friends, is always alone. You would think he's antisocial and a loser that struggles to even speak, but he's not. He's a good kid. He used his winnings to rent an apartment and help these 3 sisters he barely knew. He talks well, is good at chess, but not god at it. The kid loses and is humble about it, despite being labeled a prodigy. He's a really matured kid, but still, a kid. And when you learn the real reason why he chose this path and what shogi means to him, you can only sympathize.
時計ってこんなにうるさかったっけ？あ、やばい。歩け。いけない。この気持ちは知ってる。でも目を合わせちゃダメだ。歩け。
Not many could truly understand what that scene meant, what slipping back into that empty void feels like, how it feels to recognize the creeping weight of depression and forcing yourself to move, literally walk, to avoid being swallowed by it. I pray sympathy is as far as you could feel. It's not a shogi anime, it's a story about loneliness, depression, and a slow, painful process of learning how to live again. If you think you had it rough, just know there are people who had it worse. But the anime doesn't approach loneliness completely in a sad way. Sometimes they play it off so you don't feel like shit. They have to live the moments. Otherwise it'd just be Depression the anime. I already have the live action, I don't need it in 2D. Ray brags about his record of eating alone at school for 11 years. That's not something to be proud of, that's depressing as shit. But he's cool with it, so you're like, okay, as long as you're happy. Akari, Hina, Momo, you're gonna love these three. They are sisters that live across the neighborhood, and the light in the midst of this darkness. But even they have problems too. They live in this old wooden house, small but packed with warmth and comfort. You just want to stay there, but you guilt trip yourself to thinking that you don't deserve it. Akari's the mother figure that holds the family together. I can name 1,000 reasons why she'd make the perfect wife, but this is not the video for that. Hina, this sweet girl that's not afraid to do the right thing regardless of the consequences. She has more emotional maturity than anyone her age, and that's not necessarily a good thing. And Momo! Everyone loves Momo. Together these three are the reason Ray begins to believe that maybe, just maybe, even he deserves to be loved too. And then there's this chubby kid who thinks he's Ray's rival. He's a good kid as well. He cares deeply for Ray, reaching out when he's quietly drowning, like a friend he never once had. Oh, right. And then there's this gaslighting, manipulating bitch. My blood fucking boils whenever I see her. She wasn't rage baiting, she's just being a bitch. I be saying shit like, why he letting this bitch crash at his crib, yo? Picture a really pissed off face saying that. I would pray for a downfall, but she's already in it. The best character, however, is not the sisters or the friend. They're great, but the real MVP is the teacher. He's the most impactful adult in Ray's life. He sees through Ray's isolation, but doesn't pressure him to open up. He accepts him for who he is and is always there when he needs him. Not many teachers would go to such lengths just to keep one student from repeating the year. A great one will want every one of his students to succeed, so when he sees one of them beating himself up, he's not just gonna stand there. He lets him know how hard he's been trying. That's the kind of teacher that you want. And if you think that's how a normal teacher should act, then you will be proven wrong very soon. The anime doesn't care about you, but you care for the anime. You care for everyone, even a girl that you've only seen for a few minutes, or an old man that you've known nothing about. When they cry, it rips your heart out. When they get angry, you too want to throw a punch. And when they're happy, you also share a piece of that joy. I love these moments when it's all smiles, but you know that's not gonna last forever. Cause that's life. There are no heroes that show up when it matters. The sadness doesn't just magically disappear. So you just helplessly wonder, is it gonna get better? When will it get better? And watch them deal with it on their own. Everyone's got problems. He has problems, she has problems. What about my problems? Does anyone care?
I don't give a fuck.
Okay then. The characters found themselves on the verge of tears time and time again, but held their breath and held it in. That's exactly how you feel watching their stories. Each one of them is flawed in their own ways, which makes them human. And when the soundtrack hits, it's like driving a dagger up your heart. But sometimes, it's nice to know there are people who care for you, people you can lean on. Strength is a way of life, but I hope you know it's okay to not be strong all the time. You don't need to win every match in life. Things will work out on its own, they will. What matters is that you keep walking, because even the coldest March eventually gives way to spring.
何も成果がなかったなんて言うなよ。頑張ってたよ。俺は見てたよ。喜んだりがっかりしたりを繰り返し、失望も寂しさも人間には必要な感情です。勇気を出して新しい世界に手を伸ばすのは寂しさゆえのこと。